In June 2022, Naughty Dog announced The Last of Us Part 1, a remake of the original The Last of Us that came out for PS3 in 2013. To be fair, they didn't name it a remake, but Sony stated it was rebuilt from the ground up. The announcement received lots of backlash when they announced the game's price tag of $70. People said this game is a remaster at most and called it a cash grab. At first, I defended Naughty Dog with everything I had, especially since the game wasn't even out yet, so I wanted people to wait until the release before they talk badly about it. But man, the game we then got on release had more problems than I could have imagined. First, I want to say that my goal for this video isn't to make the game look as bad as possible. After playing the original Last of Us for over 10,000 hours and speedrunning it for over 10 years, I know full well that it's possible to make any game look stupid, and I could make the original Last of Us look like the worst game ever if I wanted to. This is not my goal for Part 1. After having played Part 1 when it came out, I pretty much ignored the game until today, and I would continue to do so, if it wasn't for the total erasure of the original Last of Us. Every media, every tweet, every PlayStation and Sony ad or trailer, everything is just full with Part 1 footage, whether it makes sense or not. For example, this post here, where they talked about Bruce Straley, the game director of the original Last of Us. The thing is, Bruce Straley stopped working at Naughty Dog in 2016 and had nothing to do with Part 1 whatsoever. Even more, I feel like under Bruce Straley's direction, The Last of Us Part 1 wouldn't even get past the first game test. Since the release of The Last of Us Part 2, I'm criticizing Naughty Dog's decision making when it comes to gameplay mechanics, and I think their understanding of functioning and fun gameplay is abysmal, and having the mainstream call this game the
definitive way to play The Last of Us,
and acting as if Part 1's gameplay is way better in any given way than the original is something I don't want to ignore. So I'm not making this video to be aggressive towards the remake, I'm making this in defense of the original game. The overall theme of the gameplay changes in Part 1 is that it's a slow-mo version of the original game. The speed is decreased and almost every animation of Joel is slower. Not only were many changes questionable, they were also executed poorly on top of that. Many gameplay mechanics that were fantastic in the original game are not even functioning in the remake. Let's look into it. My first plan was to show all the movements and animations side by side, but I quickly noticed that this would be too much and too technical, especially considering Naughty Dog claimed to have over 1000 new animations, so I want to focus on the parts that are so obviously bad or not working to make my points. To show you by how much Joel's movement got nerfed, let's look at his sprint vault, which is one of the most important movements in the game. This is Joel in the original game. And this is Joel in the remake. Not only is his movement speed decreased by over 100% and has no momentum, Joel's vaulting movement has even more problems in the remake. Here, in the original game, you can see that standing still next to a cover, then pressing sprint and jump at the same time will give Joel the maximum movement speed. In Part 1, that doesn't work. Pressing sprint and climb doesn't give Joel a sprint vault anymore. In Remake, Joel already needs to be sprinting before you start the vault, otherwise the game will give you a crouch or jog animation. This can be problematic since enemies can see or hear you when doing that. Another huge downgrade to the original is that the remake, or rather Naughty Dog's engine, doesn't seem to be able to handle two things at once, and I have multiple examples for that. This is what it looks like when Joel gets attacked by the runner in the intro. And this is it in Part 1. While in the OG, Joel gets surprised and simultaneously grabbed by the runner without standing still at all, the remake can't handle two animations at the same time, has to wait for Joel to stand in the correct spot, and then starts moving the runner that eventually grabs Joel. While this seems like a small thing, especially during cinematics, the entire game works like that, and it also greatly affects the gameplay. After crouching, for example, there is a 1 second cooldown before Joel can jog or sprint again. Pay attention to my inputs on the bottom left. Also, why does it sometimes skip the inputs entirely? There is a way to work around that by pressing crouch again and starting the jog right after, so at least there seems to be a way to prevent that. What can't be prevented, however, is the rest of Joel's slow movement. Let's look at how he climbs the ladder at the end of Capital in the original game. This is it in Part 1. Keep in mind I'm constantly holding sprint and forward in both clips. In the OG, Joel can basically go from a climbing animation into a walking animation. In part 1, Joel first needs to have completely finished the climbing animation and then he can go over to a walking animation. There are more examples of this. There's also a cooldown on Joel's sprint. The game first needs to recognize you stopped sprinting and then a second later you can sprint again. The game also first needs to fully finish Joel's landing animation before he can move again. And the game first needs to fully get the horse into position before you can mount it. In the OG, you could basically press triangle to grab an enemy and then press square to strangle it. In part 1, you first need to press triangle to grab it, then wait a second for the game to recognize you grabbed it, and then you can press square to strangle it. You can see it better here. Look at the bottom left. First triangle input gets eaten, next triangle input needs a second for the game to recognize I pressed it, first square input gets eaten too, and then after a second the game finally recognizes my next square input. It feels horrible. In part 1 you can't really switch weapons anymore when doing anything like climbing, vaulting or basically being in any kind of animation with Joel. If you want to switch your weapon, you first need to vault over, then wait for the game to finish the animation, then get your gun out, wait for the game to finish that animation, and then you can aim and shoot. I was climbing up, I was doing this, and then, see, I still have the revolver. Dude, 5 seconds ago I pressed left. Fuck off. Same goes for any other kind of animation. See how I wanted to switch to my pistol before taking a hostage? No. What? Did I not switch to my pistol? Not only did this happen, but in the OG you could also switch to the other pistol while having a hostage. Part 1 got rid of that option entirely. You also cannot aim and shoulder swap right away anymore. You now have to aim first, wait a second for the game to realize you started aiming, and then you can shoulder swap. Oh, I thought I have a revolver. The game takes so long to realize you started aiming that it still thinks you're not aiming and therefore switches the weapon, which you can do by pressing R1, which is the same button as shoulder swapping. The game not being able to do two things at the same time peaks at the melee combat, but I want to focus on the melee combat separately, so for now I move on to the next part. I quickly want to show a mechanic I really dislike. When Joel is next to a wall, he wants to lean on it, which is a mechanic that's also in the original and part of taking cover, but in part 1 it's very exaggerated. It feels like Joel is sticking to the wall like glue whenever he's even slightly close to one. It is so aggressive that Joel stops moving entirely even when still holding L3 forward, meaning if you're crouching to reduce Joel's noise, sometimes he just completely stands still and you're stuck. He stops moving, even though I don't move my stick at all. See, like that. I didn't let go of my stick or anything, it's just... see? He cannot go along the wall with that speed. I think the speed is too slow. Yeah, like that. This heavily limits Joel's movement and also affects pro players. The next thing I want to talk about could in some ways also be added to the one thing at a time topic. The entire game is clunky and the controls are not responsive. Picking up any item in part 1 just feels completely out of the player's control. You have to stand directly on the item, have the camera face it, then press triangle multiple times and then pray the game picks it up for you. If you now try to do this while moving or while doing anything else, good luck. It might not look as bad as I make it sound, but believe me, it's bad. This also makes it so you as a player can never trust the game or the controls, so ultimately you never really just press the buttons out of muscle memory since you have to constantly babysit the game and make sure that it reads your inputs. It feels like I'm fighting against the controls and not runners or hunters. A typical encounter that involves a brick or a bottle usually looks like this. I press triangle multiple times, why does he not pick it up? Okay, let me go back and pick it up. Why is the bottle not appearing on my screen? Okay, let's turn around. Triangle, triangle, triangle. Okay, he finally picked it up and I'm dead. Bro, I was mashing fucking triangle. What do you mean? The thing here is, the feeling of picking up items in the original was godlike. No dropped inputs, perfectly working animations, and there is basically no case where Joel doesn't pick up an item after having pressed triangle. The controls were so responsive and Joel's movements so precise, you could become one with the playable character. That feeling definitely is absent in the remake. Dude, I bet I can just brick... Bro, this is so bullshit. Oh, why did they leave this in the game, man, after part 2? That's honestly annoying. Unfortunately, that's not the only thing. They also got rid of the option to pick up all the items on the screen at once by holding down triangle. It's simply not working anymore. They also got rid of picking up items mid-air, probably because it's not compatible with their current engine. And they also got rid of parts that were hidden underwater, probably because it's not compatible with their current engine. Also, nice dive there, Joel. Speaking of it, they also put a death trigger inside the water in tunnel, and I assume that's because in the original game, Joel's underwater speed got sped up by the current, which is probably not compatible with their current engine. Or they didn't feel like making it 1001 new animations, so they just put a death barrier there. They also got rid of the option to approach any triangle prompts when already holding down triangle to trigger it. In the remake, they also got rid of core animations needed for good gameplay, for example the option to change the camera position by shoulder swapping. In the original game, you could make the camera default either to the left or to the right, depending on your shoulder swap. That is completely gone in Remake. Oh, nice animation, Joel. Is that one of the new ones next to the other 999? Remake is like only being allowed to use one of your eyes, and when an enemy is coming from the left, you decide to use your right eye for whatever reason. Hey, at least there are cool new animations.
Okay.
Ooh. What the fuck was that? I can't move. Oh, man.
Also cool new animations where Joel is trying to find the triangle prompt. Especially clunky are the controls that have to do with combat. This is Joel doing a full melee combo into a crouch right after in the original game. And this is it in part 1. When you want to shoot right after a melee combo, and it becomes even more obvious when trying to vault over an object after the combo. Joel can also not climb diagonally onto objects anymore. And why does Joel get pushed away from objects when meleeing? Look at my inputs, the game actually has features that move Joel without moving L3 at all. And why is there an invisible wall here? Joel moving without doing anything with L3 is also very aggressive when in cover. You can actually move Joel to the left or to the right by like a meter only by turning the camera and without touching L3 at all, to the point where the game even pushes Joel out of cover. When in cover, Joel's auto movement is also very strong. In Remake, dumpsters and pallets can only be moved with L3 now, which greatly reduces the freedom and accuracy to move. And why can the flashlight only get turned off when not moving the camera while aiming? Why can I not open the menu after dying? And why does Joel need to take a break after taking one step? Look at my inputs here, where did my circle input go? The game really can't handle two things at once. The climbing also looks legendary. Okay, let's get to the main part and talk about the combat. The combat in this game is not working. Especially the melee combat is beyond broken and never should have gotten released in this state. Let's look at a clip of my very first playthrough when going into melee combat with a human enemy for the very first time. Fuck, I did.
By those windows!
Wait, did he punch me? Oh. Bro! Joel's melee combat is actually so slow, enemies can land hits in between Joel's hits, which should not be a thing. Let's look at more examples and keep in mind, in every clip I'm constantly holding down sprint, forward and I'm mashing square. Bro, melee is so slow in this game. Man, sometimes the combat feels weird because I was mashing square the entire time. But sometimes it feels like they paused the combat for a few seconds.
I got it! Down to the last one. Finish it off already.
The Last of Us is a game where, on higher difficulties, players are heavily relying on melee combat since we don't have much ammo, and the melee combat not working is a disaster. Especially when it gets combined with other problems, like not being able to climb the ladder before Bill and Ellie anymore, even when there's room for it, so you have to deal with the runners that approach you.
Yeah, I just said that I should not try this fucking type of thing, dude. Fuck off!
Not only can enemies deal hits in between Joel's hits, both infected and human enemies can also just randomly break out of stagger animations and push you against the wall, which is a bug. Finishing off an enemy after a melee combo also puts a multiple second long cooldown on Joel's melee combat, which is beyond ridiculous. Can I... Bro, let me kill him! Oh my god, it takes so long for that animation. I also hate that. One of the worst things Naughty Dog did with this combat is copy and pasting the stalkers from part 2 into this game. In part 2, when being in a melee fight with a stalker, you constantly have to switch between pressing L1 for a dodge and square for a melee attack. And if timed correctly, you will kill a stalker without getting grabbed or taking any damage. In part 1, stalkers work exactly the same. The problem is, there is no dodge button in this game, but the game still requires you to dodge the stalker's attack, which obviously won't work. That means in part 1, stalkers can randomly break out of a melee combo and just grab you. And there is absolutely nothing the player can do against that. Bro, please, is there anyone who wouldn't call that bullshit? Also, something that got carried over from part 2 is Joel literally suicide jumping into an enemy. Sometimes when you sprint towards an enemy and press square for a melee attack, the game doesn't even start a melee attack, but instead kinda teleports the character into the enemy. This is where the combat becomes a nightmare, because not only does this mean an instant death when having a clicker in front of you, you can also never rely on melee combat, which is painful. Huh? How? During my first playthrough, at one point I completely stopped using melee combat at all and just wasted all my ammo because it just would not work. Look at this. Huh? I had a melee weapon! Bro, something feels wrong with the combat, not gonna lie. As if all of that wasn't enough already, the game also frequently makes Joel do 360s when sprint swinging at enemies, so if you get lucky enough for Joel to not jump teleport into an enemy, he's doing this instead. What?
Stay back! Stay back! Get this thing off of me!
Really? Oh my god, bro. Bro, what's going on, man? There are also some really broken melee animations. What?
Supposed to be dead.
I got you!
Yeah, I'm tired. I'm not even going to talk about what happened there.
Not bad, old timer.
Hey, IFrames got really unlucky with that animation. It can't get any worse from here, right?
Come on.
This game is really exhausting me. What the fuck? I can't, dude. What the?
Let me show you a clip of the high school fight. First, Joel does that jump into an enemy. I take really unnecessary damage here. Okay, this is enough. Melee combat is useless. Let's just use my shotgun. Yeah, you've seen correctly. Not only is the melee combat not working, the shotgun, which is supposed to be the strongest weapon in the game, is also bugged. Frequently, the shotgun has to pump before it can shoot. This is not a regular reload or so, it's just a glitch.
Dude, did you see that? Did you see that?
The shotgun can honestly be really strong in part 1, and I feel like it has more ups and downs than in the original game.
What?
It can be stronger, but it can also be weaker, depending on what the game decides to give you today. Overall, the slower combat makes it painful to rely on weapons too. Speaking of it, the El Diablo is also not reliable.
How did that miss? What?
I also want to talk about bricks and bottles again. As shown earlier, they are extremely hard to pick up from the ground, and selecting and throwing them also takes quite a while in this game, but there are more problems to them. For whatever reason, Naughty Dog thought it was a good decision to immediately make Joel equip anything he just picked up. Not only is this a bad decision, because why would any player want to have their brick get overwritten by a smoke bomb when an enemy is approaching you? And why does this also work with melee weapons when there's literally no use of having a melee weapon equipped other than to annoy the player? It also doesn't even work properly. Look at this example and my inputs. The game automatically equips the bottle while I wanted my pistol. I'm like, okay, let's just throw it. Press throw multiple times, but it doesn't throw it. There's also a glitch where the bottle doesn't register on the enemy but still breaks. One of the worst glitches that also got added with the remake is that sometimes, quite often actually, the game doesn't throw a brick or bottle when you want to throw it. Joel begins his throwing animation, but the brick or bottle never leaves his hands, which makes us think he threw it, and then we die, running openly into an enemy.
What? Wait, what? What?
Pick that up, it cancels my reload. That's bad.
What? I threw the brick, did you see that?
Hey, get him!
Oh, hello. Bro, throw it! Oh my fucking god, bro. I haven't talked about the PC version yet, that came out the following year and is the worst reviewed Naughty Dog game in history with a metascore of 50, which is honestly really high for the buggy mess they released. Hey, Ono got the game and is testing the PC port. Surely they've fixed some of the problems, let's see how he's doing.
Ow. Yeah, safe route my ass. They didn't fix the fake throw. They didn't fix it. Did you see that shit, man?
Oh, have I mentioned that Ellie's melee combat doesn't work at all? In the original game you could kill any enemy that grabbed David or Ellie, or got melee attacked by David. That function is gone in Remake.
What?
Not only did part 1 remove the option to switch your guns while holding a hostage, it also removed the option to take hostages at all in most places. You can't take hostages anymore after a melee swing, and it also doesn't work anymore after getting pushed against the wall.
Get him! Right here!
IFrames in the remake are badly selected and they are almost non-existent. IFrames are invincibility frames where the player can't take any damage. A popular example of this are critical hits in Souls games, where you're invulnerable for a certain amount of time to not punish the player for being in an animation for multiple seconds. For part 1, Naughty Dog was like, whatever, and removed almost all the iframes, which means enemies can attack and damage Joel during cutscenes now, or while having grabbed an enemy.
Oh my god, dude, no way. He already started the animation, did you see that?
No. Please.
There are many weird things in the game, and I can't cover everything in this video. But one thing I also want to mention are scripted shots. In part 1 and part 2, enemies land scripted shots on Joel when certain conditions were met. One condition, for example, can be to sprint directly towards an enemy. That will result in Joel taking a scripted hit. This is also a thing in the original game. The problem in Remake now is that the game doesn't differ between scripted shots and normal shots, which means enemies can land a scripted shot on Joel and a millisecond later they land a non-scripted shot. This causes the game to entirely feel scripted with very little player freedom and also results in enemies being able to shoot like a rapid-fire controller even when having a gun like the El Diablo equipped. In this clip, for example, the enemy first misses his normal shot, then the game notices I'm sprinting directly towards the enemy and therefore adds a scripted shot. The game doesn't care about the fact that the enemy has just fired his gun. On the top right, you can see the first shot goes off at 21.0. The second shot goes off at 21.3, which basically means a single enemy can shoot 3 to 4 bullets per second, which would sound like this. Here are 2 more examples.
What was there? Why is he standing there?
Completely scripted AI, and thankfully part 1 isn't even as aggressive with that as part 2, since part 2 added a scripted shot whenever the player peeks out of cover. Speaking of AI, Naughty Dog often mentioned how improved their AI was for this game, and I'm sure that's true, and stuff like pathfinding, stealth gameplay and NPCs helping you out is definitely stuff I can see got improved. But for me it is almost not noticeable when playing the game. Stealth gameplay feels the same, comrades help more often, yes I can see that, but overall they added new problems too, and the AI feels even more hazy now. Comrades are so sensitive now, you can push them away so easily, which becomes a problem when comrades are the trigger to progress the game.
Really? Oh, no fucking... Hold on. Where is she?
You know,
This is a softlock, by the way.
Dude! This is not happening.
And this is also a softlock.
Easily.
should be a straight shot through here.
Oh, fuck you, dude. I swear, if that's not even a PB, because of that. It's stuck. It's fucking stuck.
Another spot that is also completely scripted now is the dam fight. A nice way of dealing with all the enemies is to throw a Molotov through the door to basically kill all of them with a single throw. Part 1 doesn't like the idea of players being creative with their strategies and therefore just puts a death wall there that looks beyond ridiculous.
Whoa!
As I said, there's not much player freedom in this game. You either follow the script the game wants you to follow, or stuff like this happens. The last 2 things about the combat I quickly want to mention here are the way the game pushes Joel around in melee combat. I didn't press anything but forward and square. And that sometimes the game is just confusing. Why does this clicker tank 4 melee hits, one of them being a sprint swing, and then also interrupts my 5th melee attack and kills me? In these two clips I've shown you earlier, I also don't understand why I was able to kill the enemy in 2 hits and the next time it took me 3 hits. Another huge change with the remake is that everything is way easier than in the original. The revolver deals more damage and can one-hit kill runners and stalkers now.
Just hurry!
Dude, the revolver even kills stalkers in 1 hit. You get way more ammo drops and the amount dropped is also higher.
So what? You just
Some sections, for example Capital, are no danger anymore, and even on grounded difficulty you can just run through 10 enemies without getting shot at all.
Hurry!
The game just places medkits, smoke bombs and shivs in the overworld. Runners pose no real threat anymore. Their grabs are easy to dodge, they don't really push you against the wall anymore, they are slow, the range of their wipes is small, and on top of that they get bounced off very easily. Believe me, in the original game I would have died here like 10 times already. The game also uses the original game's easy mode checkpoints, even for grounded difficulty. In the original, grounded mode had less checkpoints than any other difficulty. Another big thing is, throwing a brick or a bottle directly at an enemy doesn't alert Joel anymore, making stealth gameplay way easier. Not to forget, they greatly reduced the difficulty of their PSN trophies, and getting the platinum is free now. The final thing I want to talk about is one of my main complaints about part 1, and can also get added to the lack of player freedom. The entire environment is stiff. The remake has way more sections where you have to slow walk, can't access your inventory or press any buttons, and has way less objects you can climb. Everything feels so stiff, there's barely any room to experiment with the surroundings during combat, since the remake reduces the options the player has significantly.
the hell do we smuggle?
Little man. We should have brought more people.
They just slow us down.
Yeah, you're right. Come on, docks are this way.
Right here!
You cannot climb this? Bro. You cannot climb over that! Fuck you!
If I had anything that confess, this would be the place to do it.
So you can see that in part 1 you can't really climb. Why the hell would Joel climb that now? What is going on? Oh my god, he really only climbs the stuff that makes no sense. For this horse ride, you have almost no control over the horse in Remake. It feels like a cutscene that autoplays, like the intro for example. During the Pittsburgh bus fight, not only can you not climb up from the right side in part 1, which completely gets rid of one possibility of finishing this fight, I tried to get onto the fence by falling onto it, and this happened. Oh, and when I jumped into the water in Dam, this happened.
I found something.
This is Ellie's fastest movement speed here, by the way.
How you holding up?
In the original game, when escaping the tank, it shoots the explosive and Joel falls over. However, if you shoot the explosive before the tank, there is no explosion anymore and therefore Joel doesn't fall. In the remake, if you shoot the explosive, Joel will still fall over, even though there is nothing that could explode anymore. In Suburbs, I tried to climb the stairs, but instead the game gave me this. I couldn't get out here, meaning this is a soft lock. This is everything I wanted to get off my chest when looking at the game itself and its mechanics. For the end of this video, I also want to bring up that The Last of Us Part 1 is not a remake. Most people on the internet seem to believe it is, but it's clear as night and day that they just took the original game's code and put it into Part 2's engine. I'm not talking about them not re-recording the voice lines or something like that. They were very transparent about that. I'm talking about other stuff. Some things I've shown in this video already pointed towards the game not being remade from the ground up, but let me show you more. The original Last of Us on PS3 had a glitch in the intro that could kill the player during the car ride, and this glitch only happened in early days on PS3 and later got patched. 9 years after it got patched, this came back as a thing in the remake.
Wait, what happens?
The entire game also has, from start to finish, the exact same world building as the original game. In the original Last of Us, there is a technique that allows us to push the camera slightly out of bounds, which in many places deloads the previous area since it tricks the game into thinking we're somewhere else now. OG Last of Us and Remake share the exact same spots for that. Here in Dam for example, look what happens if you do that on this wall. And this is it in Remake, only that in Remake you don't even need to trick the game anymore and can just move there and turn the camera. This works for many places in the game, for example in the sniper fight too. This is the original game. And this is the remake. In the original game, in the dam fight, there is an invisible wall in the doorway when killing the enemies in a certain way.
I think the game is soft locked now. Yep, I'm soft locked. The runner's dead.
This glitch also is in the remake and it is the exact same softlock.
Oh no, one survived. Huh?
They're fighting on the bridge. Let's go.
What's going on? Huh?
And has a video in which he showed a camera glitch that is the exact same in both games. And Freako also uploaded a video where he also shows things that prove my point of the game not being remade from the ground up. There is a lot more, for example the ladder in Sewers that is just as weird in Remake as in the original. But as I said, my plan is not to just make the game look bad for the sake of it, and you get what I want to say, so I'll leave it here. You can check out Ant's recent video where he compared the original game and Remake from a speedrunning perspective and also shows some different stuff too and talks about it. Or Freako's video, which is a bit shorter but also interesting. Both great videos linked in the description. Thank you to Onur and IFrames for allowing me to use their clips. Please give them a follow. Thank you for watching.